Don, we can't hear you.
Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody. Sorry. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5. We're so glad that you could be here, and I really appreciate you joining us today. We have a very special show planned for you, and with something that is quite disturbing, the fallout happening from this racist MAGA cult rally that happened at Madison Square Garden yesterday in New York City, okay? So as I come to you right now, as we are streaming, there's some breaking news. They knew, everybody. They knew the Trump campaign knew how their so-called comedian, this Kill Tony comedian, they knew how he was going to, what he was going to say, that he was going to make these horrific racist jokes, not only about Puerto Ricans, Latinos, Jews, Palestinians, and Black Americans. They knew he was going to do it at Madison Square Garden last night. How did they know? Because we have some brand new reporting that we're going to show you. It is from our friend Mark Caputo over at the Bulwark, and he says that the comedian, his name is Tony Hinchcliffe, also planned to call the Vice President, Kamala Harris, ready for this? The C word last night. But the campaign scrapped it from his remarks. But they were also A-okay with everything else that she said, or that he said. Now, when they said that, oh, well, this does not, not align with anything about the Trump campaign or Donald Trump, that was a lie. When the Trump campaign spokesperson responded to all this outrage this morning, distancing himself from Hinchcliffe and saying, quote, "This joke does not reflect the values of the Trump campaign. They're lying because they greenlit every other racist joke that he made." Okay? Tonight, I am really grateful to have someone that I have known now. He's not going to believe it. It's been 25 years that we've known each other, since 1999. Okay? And that is my dear longtime friend, Ivan, Ivan, as we call him. I don't want to say his last name. He is Puerto Rican. He is disgusted by this display at Madison Square Garden at this rally last night. And by the way, just so you know, Ivan and I, or Ivan, met each other when I moved to Philadelphia. He's from the Pennsylvania area. And so he knows what this could do to this all-important swing state, this must-have swing state that's for all the marbles. Hi, Ivan. How you doing, my friend?
Hi, Don. Doing well, thank you.
So when you heard this, what'd you think?
I was just beyond surprised. It was like a stab. This is not what you expect between two campaigns. There's direct attacks, but when you attack a group of citizens, and particularly when you're so bold to do it from New York City, and then understanding now that it was condoned and accepted by the campaign. Some things were removed, but certainly that was left in there. It just makes you realize that we are in a very, very critical point of American history and acceptance of who we're going to protect and who we're going to leave behind. And that's it feels very disheartening.
When I spoke with Ivan earlier today, I called him and I called a couple of my Puerto Rican friends and reached out to them, and they were like disheartened. I mean, Ivan, you're like, I don't really know how to react. I want to play this for you, and I want to play it for our audience so they know what I'm talking about. I hate to have you relive this, Ivan, but I think it's important that people know this is the racist Puerto Rican joke from this event last night.
Is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. No.
A floating island of garbage?
Yeah. And then they okay, all right. Like he knew the campaign allowed it. He knew that it had very good chances of landing, and make no mistake, the joke landed. And that is even more disheartening because I didn't hear anybody in the audience like shout out or some, but it was allowed. Now we know it was allowed, and certainly that it talks about the inherent dignity and the equality of the campaign, where the core values are, and then how do you talk inclusivity and unity when you are telling we haven't picked a fight with them. I mean, they have treated the island of Puerto Rico as garbage, and now we know that it is officially a campaign slogan, and that has been condoned and allowed to be treated a portion of. There are more Puerto Ricans in the U.S. than on the island, so these are like these are voting Puerto Ricans, which I have no idea why anybody that respects dignity, equality, would allow any other U.S. citizen to be disparaged this way. And just that alone is a call for unity. And but the fact that you picked an island that has given, contributed, and continues to contribute to the lifeline and blood and military arts, sciences, public discourse of the nation, that's significant enough to stop any kinds of jokes like that tell part of U.S. voters, you are not worthy, you come from garbage, and the balls to do it in New York City. In New
Yeah.
York City, that's that's a crazy, and I don't understand how we got out alive.
The melting pot that is New York, with all the Puerto Ricans here.
Where were my people?
It's like, Ivan,
They should have stopped the motorcade.
this is some bullshit. I can't believe it. When I heard it, I was in the car, actually in traffic on my way back to New York City, in traffic, in large part because of this rally. And I was like listening, going, "Oh my God, this is so insulting." And I thought, I just left Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I was there on Friday. And Ivan, there's like what, 650,000?
Yes.
Eligible Puerto Rican American.
The whole corridor between New York and Pennsylvania, the whole corridor, if you look at the history, it is deep generations of Puerto Ricans that have either established themselves directly in New York and then migrated down to the Allentown, Bethlehem part of Pennsylvania, and then, or they had been here in the past and they came directly to Pennsylvania and I have my first cousin. My uncle is married to a Mennonite Pennsylvania community, so I have a mixed cousin within the Mennonite community and Puerto Rican, and there's a small even segment of those who have crossed married, and so there's an interracial acceptance at a whole different level that nationally will be tolerated.
Do you think this will, because look, the Trump folks are playing it down. The MAGA folks are saying, "Oh, it's just a joke about a comedian."
They allowed it. That's policy.
Is it just a joke, though, you think?
No, they allowed it. When you allow it means these are our values. We speak our values by whom represents us, even though. So if at a national event and Madison Square Garden, close to the elections and all that, it's meant to be a national attention grabbing event, to allow that kind of rhetoric to be said and spoken around the world. It's just like unreal. It's unreal.
Well,
I mean, even Putin doesn't speak like that about Ukraine.
Well, you said to me something that I thought was very important. First of all, let me ask you real quick. Do you think this is going to penetrate? You think it'll make a difference?
I don't know. We are in a psychopathological time in the American political culture where it's like now cancer is good, and how it has happened, I don't know. The impact that I hope it does have for individuals who believe in equity, in justice, and believe that everybody is equal and the Constitution is a we and it's not going to be a he, then I believe it's a chance for those who haven't made up their mind to really think about it. And then for the Puerto Ricans, the 600, if the elections show that 600 Puerto Ricans didn't vote for the party that has not disparaged and respects them. Like, this is part of that cancer that has turned out to be good.
You mean the
And
650,000? Not six.
yes, in Pennsylvania, who right now they can elect who is president of the United States. If they have respect, self-esteem, and believe that we are equal under the U.S. Constitution. So that's the numbers we should be seeing. But now we're not seeing that. We're seeing a different alternate world where these things actually are just fire the base. And
Mhm.
it's just it makes you wonder, like, our metrics are not the same as
No.
before, and you can't predict whether this is going to land or not. Look at that, it landed.
Yeah.
So
That people laughed at the joke. And look, that's part of the thing. Look, cruelty, I think, is really the point, right? It's not a glitch.
yes,
It's the point. I do have to say, look, I agree with you. I think in my heart of hearts, I believe that this will make a difference. I think that the Trump folks are downplaying it because they have to downplay it.
Yeah.
I want to play one more thing, and then I'm going to get the response from the Trump campaign. But this is about Ivan. Look, we are the United Nations of friends.
yeah, yes,
We have friends of every single background, right?
yeah,
Like, we never even really thought about it. People used to think that we were brothers. And
yeah.
you're much more handsome than I am.
No, that's a lie. I didn't work as a model.
But when I think about our friends, our Latino friends overall, right? And when I spoke to you, you said, look, you know how this feels, maybe even more so than I do. And I was like, I don't know about that, but and how to be under attack.
Never. It's just like this, never. And
But
it's a different thing when you're friends and you have that license to be able to. I mean, the people from deep Pennsylvania and the jokes we made about that, but and me and you, and like we were culturally, we grew up in a very, very different, but we accepted and we embraced it and we cherished it and we proposed each other to make good things happen. And that's where diversity, but we didn't even think about we were doing it. We just did it because it felt natural.
Well, do you remember, where was our friend from? We won't say his name.
Pittston.
Where was he? He was from somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Pittston.
Where was it?
Pittston, Pennsylvania, which is like in the middle. It's like a very blue collar, but very, it's just
there was another one. Where's who SR was from? I don't want to say people's name.
That's in that area, the Pittston area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and we used to joke about him from being from Central Pennsylvania. He would joke about me being a Southern boy, black. And we would say he's like the whitest of the white. And he would say, you're Southern and black. And you're like but it was fun because we knew each other. I was making that very same point this morning, that you can make jokes, but you have to know what is appropriate.
The boundaries. Yeah.
Yes. And on a political stage, that is not appropriate. Had he been at a comedy club, right? Depending on, and if you do the number one rule of comedy is that it has to be funny. And so it wasn't funny. But this is the reason I'm making this point is because he's talking about not just Puerto Ricans, but a group of people overall, Latinos overall.
It's very different. A comedian does his or her work and displays it up there. It's not vetted by a potential presidential candidate.
Yes.
That's different. This is about like your own stakeholders, and you really want to just gut them out and turn them over and expect them, and rightfully so, and some do vote for you, and it's crazy.
Let me play this because he's look. I think he insulted Latinos overall, and this one is just as vile, if not, I don't know, maybe even more. No, calling people garbage, that's really vile. But watch this.
Welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country. Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor.
Hey, Latinos, you guys don't, you just invade the country.
But the reality is that it shows his ignorance and of the history, like all that, it's like they were here before he came here. So like if we really understood the history, it's like it's the other way around. If you really look and knew the truth and the evidence of what's happening. But it doesn't matter if you're not educated. You listen to this and then you downplay it as comedy, but this was not material that he did and just went out and performed it in a small comedy club. This is what was broadcasted to the world, that in within the presidential campaign, these are the things that are accepted. And as you know, you were leaving Pennsylvania, and today, just a few hours ago, Philadelphia sued the super PAC for the Elon Musk, and so that Pennsylvania and New York are really Pennsylvania is really going to determine. And if my people in Pennsylvania don't really come out and really tilt and really act out for the history of American and keeping it in the light and not let it go into the dark, like they have a hand in playing a historical part in the elections now. And it comes to that segment in Pennsylvania, and this could be really cool if other people around the nation really united around justice, equity, and what could be tomorrow another group that is just allowed to be slashed, and then that somehow has got to stop. And sometimes for a lot less things, people have lost their jobs and their political appointments and all that, and for some reason the path for this individual and the campaign is just the tolerance level is not even there, and it's allowed and applauded and funded.
Yeah. So you mentioned, I'm going to get to something that you mentioned, but I just want to play this because as a matter of fact, I want to, if we have the ad that we discussed, that Ivan just discussed, I would like to play. We had it this morning. Play it, but I want to, it's, oh boy, Ivan, I just don't know. Hang on. Let's play this. This is JD Vance responding earlier, saying, Ivan, he's saying, look, you guys, people are just too sensitive now. Here he is.
Now, I've heard about the joke. I haven't actually seen the joke that you mentioned, but I think that it's telling that Kamala Harris's closing message is essentially that all of Donald Trump's voters are Nazis and you should get really pissed off about a comedian telling a joke. That is not the message of a winning campaign. And most importantly, it's not the message of a person who's fit to be the president of the United States of America. And my own view on this is, look, again, I haven't seen the joke. Maybe it's a stupid racist joke, as you said. Maybe it's not. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to comment on the specifics of the joke. But I think that we have to stop getting so offended at every little thing in the United States of America. I'm so over it.
Okay, two things. Number one, he hasn't seen, he was there. He spoke not long after the comedian made that. He hasn't seen it.
It was the campaign that approved it and saw
campaign,
what was
and he's
happening.
part of the campaign.
So he's
That
part of the campaign. You can't
that's a
pick
lie.
it and choose it. You're like the vice president. Your team, part of the president team, allowed this to happen. It reflects either that or you're really worth like not being part of the major decisions, because that would have been a decision like, hey, do you think we're going to offend Puerto Ricans here in New York City today or not? Like, do we keep it off?
Well, for me, you know what this is, and I'm just going to be honest. These are like these sort of privileged, entitled white guys saying, "Hey, shut up, minorities. We can say whatever we want to say about you." That's their code. Everyone is so sensitive. Everyone, hey, shut up, women. We want to say exactly what we want with impunity, and so you just shut up. We're entitled to say this. No, you're not, ass. You know what? You're not entitled to say that. You can't, you're not supposed to be saying those things. Again, it's supposed to be funny. It's not funny, and there should be repercussions for everything. What did you tell me, Ivan, when you were talking about the joke? You mentioned Al Franken in our conversation earlier. What did you say?
Well, for when I was referring to for a lot the tolerance level of somebody who had to leave office and all that for a picture that had happened when he was a comedian, like as a comedian, like that wasn't allowed, or he was, part politician, part comedian. But if this is all allowed, then why the double standard of all of a sudden? Where were all those people like when he should be in return to office and restoration? Because now with all that's allowed and accepted, and then for such aggravated assault, nothing happens. And it's not that nothing happens, because what happened was it was condoned by
Mhm.
who's going to be president and leader. This was not independent material. It was all within the joke. There are things that you just don't cross the line.
Mhm.
So I don't think he would have made an abortion joke or anything like that. The campaign certainly excluded what they didn't want, but they left inside intentionally what they wanted to say.
Yeah.
And for the vice president then to say that he was and didn't know and didn't watch it, like where were you? Like this is one of the biggest rallies, and then
He
like
was there, Ivan. He spoke. He spoke not long after this. That's why I say that
that's why this is an alternative world.
yeah.
Like
And
this
that's why
is,
I say it's BS. And let
and the
me,
little things. And then he said it was the little things to not piss. If you don't get pissed off about what U.S. citizenship means, equity, inclusion, and justice, we would not have a country. And then how do you then say that the opposite, Kamala, is not fit to be president because she's acting irrational, which is the
Mhm.
rational way? That's why he turned it around and made it as if Kamala was not fit to be president, completely out of context, which who's not fit to be president is who you're working with and for.
Mhm.
So but he twisted it around, but people
Those
only
people will never
hear
hear the
the
truth.
soundbite. They don't hear the they just
Yeah,
hear the
they won't.
soundbite and then the sign that says applause
Well,
and then
Ivan, they
vote
won't
here.
hear it because they're in a media echo chamber, and they
Yes,
will never hear. They believe on that stage exactly what he said. And
exactly,
yeah,
exactly what he said.
Donna
Yeah.
Robertson, aka Realtor Robertson, says, "I haven't seen it or heard it," is their go-to answer, and I completely believe that that is true. Okay, this is my friend. I have another friend who I called today, and who's really ticked off about it. Two of them. One of them is Puerto Rican. They're both on the same show. Here's my friend Sonny Hostin responding to this racist Puerto Rican joke on The View this morning.
This Puerto Rican has something to say about the island that I love, where my family is from. Puerto Rico is trash. We are Americans, Donald Trump. Americans. We voluntarily serve disproportionately high in the military, while you have bone spurs. And we vote. Pennsylvania is home to almost 500,000 Puerto Ricans. North Carolina, 115,000. Georgia, 100,000. Arizona, 64,000. Wisconsin, 61,000. Michigan, 43,000. Nevada, 27,000. We vote Donald Trump. Trash. And by the way, Jennifer Lopez, Ricky Martin, Bad Bunny, Luis Fonsi, and Mark Anthony have over 345 million followers on Instagram. I think you only have 26 million, since you care so much about size. And we don't like what was said about Puerto Rico. And we know how to take the trash out, Donald Trump. Trash that has been collecting since 2016. And that's you, Donald Trump. And finally, my fellow Puerto Ricans, Trash Collection Day is November 5th, 2024. Don't forget it.
Wow. Hello?
Don, you're muted.
I keep hitting the mute. Sonny never leaves words on the table. What did you think?
My goodness, she really well. It's one thing I have learned growing in the culture is that you do not piss off a Puerto Rican woman, and and she is fired up from the belly, and that's what's happened. It's the firing up from the belly because you've crossed the line, and I don't think any culture, subculture, takes disrespect lightly. When you slash us like that, you go into the Puerto Rican pride, and it's strong, and it's it's a moment, I hope, from unity. I'm glad that she set the numbers of voters in the states, because that could really tip, if we really bind together and do a little check on self-respect and about dignity, and those of us that believe in U.S. citizens being equal, and unite and work together and vote November 5th. Like she said, I love the analogy to trash collection day, and that's the
That's
moment.
November 5th.
Yeah, exactly. If you
Let
can
me
vote
say this,
before, even better.
this isn't the first time that he's done. Remember, he did the shithole countries thing where he talked about nations like Haiti, and he said countries. He called them countries, and Africa's a continent, but he said that he called them shithole countries. He did that back in 2019. We said that Baltimore was rodent infested mess. So he said these sort of things before, yet people still somehow want to support him. This is my friend Ana Navarro, who is Latina, on The View this morning. Watch.
I was leaving the hotel. There was a woman there, and she started talking to me about this rally. And I said to her, "Are you Puerto Rican?" And she said to me, "No, but today we are all Puerto Ricans."
Amen.
And so
There you go.
I want to say, and he didn't just make jokes about Puerto Ricans.
No, he didn't.
He made jokes about blacks.
Yep.
You know, the whole trope about watermelons. He made jokes, a vile joke about Latinos that we can't even put on daytime TV.
Yep.
So today we are all in this together. And I'm going to say this particularly to my Latino community. If Trump asking for the death penalty for 5 young men of color, black and Latino, the exonerated 5 wasn't enough for you, if Trump getting investigated for refusing to rent to black people wasn't enough for you, if Trump promoting a racist trope against the first black president with the birtherism wasn't enough for you, if Trump calling Mexicans rapists and criminals and bad hombres wasn't enough for you, if Trump calling us vermin, invaders, people who poison the blood of this country wasn't enough for you, if Trump throwing paper towels at people in need after Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico wasn't enough for you, if Trump saying immigrants have made this country into the trash can of the world wasn't enough for you, then maybe, just maybe, this comedian, handpicked, chosen, vetted by the Trump campaign because he reflects what Trump has said his entire lifetime, maybe that will be enough for you. And on November 5th, I want you to vote for your heritage and your traditions and your identity. I want you to vote with dignity and self-respect. Latinos, comunidad, si ustedes tienen respeto por sí mismos, si tienen dignidad, defiendan esa dignidad y usen sus votos el 5 de noviembre para sacar a Donald Trump.
Yes.
This comedian, he talked 32 minutes into this rally. Donald Trump showed up 4 hours and 20 minutes later, 4 hours and 52 minutes into this rally. So he had over 4 hours to come out there and condemn these comments, to distance himself.
He did the same thing on January 6th.
He did not do it. By then, every Puerto Rican had a mask. I mean, it was like the bat signal.
It was the bat signal. It was the bat signal.
Yeah.
I mean, where's the lie? She repeated it in Spanish, right?
Yeah.
In Espanol.
Yeah. And it's about dignity, and those who believe in equality and dignity, and we're all Puerto Ricans, about U.S. citizenship and what it means, and the equality that it brings to it's an equal playing field. And if even if you vote against that rhetoric, it's at least negating another vote that's coming from the other side, and it's just not now a civic duty. It's like a survival of what has been democracy and what has been working so far, versus a authoritarianism and somebody who wants to rule the nation in a very different way. And if people can't see it, like with all this, but it's just like the blind spot that has happened to be at this point, still battling it out between the blue pill and the red pill. It's crazy.
Well, I blame, you said you don't know how you got to this, and I think you said it was I think I don't know if you said it was psychotic. I forget what you called it. A psychiatric, I forget what you called it, but
pathological.
You said it was pathological. I think that obviously our politics have been infected by a pathology of hate. I do believe that. I also believe that our media has been infected by people who are wanting to carry a certain narrative about really rich people who get to control the narrative. And you get, when you control the media, you control the narrative. Now, I just want to put this out there, okay? Because you mentioned it. This was an ad by a super PAC saying, remember at the beginning of the thing of this program, I said that the comedian wanted to call the vice president a C word, and the campaign said no, too far. But there was already this ad that had been released from a super PAC, and here it is. Watch.
Warning: this ad contains multiple instances of the C word. Viewer discretion is advised. Kamala Harris is a C word. You heard that right. A big old C word. In fact, all of the other C words think she's the biggest C word of them all. That's right, she's a tax-hiking, regulation-loving, gun-grabbing communist. And the worst part, she's proud of it. Kamala Harris, the C word America simply can't afford. See you nationwide, Tuesday, November 5th.
See you nationwide Tuesday, November 5th, Ivan. And then, so you mentioned something getting sued, right? By the way, let me show you that this was an ad that was pulled not long after this ad came out and this whole controversy started. Let's put it up. This is the ad that was up. That ad was pulled from the internet. And what say you? You said that they're suing this individual who's behind this. Ivan? Yeah. That was the Elon ad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. From the super PAC. But this is the part that that is not spoken, right? First of all, he's married to an immigrant, right? Fact check me. Isn't Melania an immigrant?
Yes, Melania is an immigrant. Of course, she's an immigrant.
But he doesn't need to say a white immigrant, right? Everybody understands by the way that this has been phrased is that all these insults that could apply to his own wife are directly in the mindset directed towards the specific southern border, and how that particular group of immigrants that you don't even have to say it anymore, but his wife is an immigrant, and then the C word, it's like, please fact check me, but from what I understand, his wife's father worked in the communist government.
His wife, I'm not, you mean Melania's dad?
Yes.
I'm not.
Where didn't he come or work for the communist government? I'm not
She's
sure.
Slovenian, and I don't know about her dad.
Maybe fact check that, because then but that's not for me to, but I thought I had read that before when the family came over and they were granted citizenship, and then it's so hard for others to gain citizenship, but you can come, and obviously that has certain privileges to be the first wife in the family. But I don't know if that is something that reflects how we already are trained to think of immigrants, but certain immigrants, and the border, not both borders. And it's already an unspoken, trained audience that accepts that immigrants does not apply to his wife and other people like her, but it's specifically for a group of people who are of color and are coming from a certain border.
She has denied that her father was a communist growing up in Slovenia. She denied that communist.
Stand corrected. Yes.
She denies it. That's all I can say at this point on that. But to me, I mean, look, the fact that that was up there and that it just shows you that it is not a bug, it is the feature to be cruel to people, to call women names. Now, they're already having trouble with women in this ad about the C word or whatever. Like, who thought that was a good idea? They may think that it's not going to penetrate, and you may not be sure, right? But the Harris campaign is certainly capitalizing, as they should, on what happened at Madison Square Garden and the rhetoric that has been coming from the Trump folks. Here's the new ad from the Harris campaign.
Floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
I will never forget what Donald Trump did. He abandoned the island and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults. Puerto Ricans deserve better. As president, I will always fight for you and your families, and together we can chart a new way forward.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
So there you go. And we'll see what happens, Ivan. Ivan, thank you. It's good to talk to you. We need to catch up. We live in the same city and never see each other.
Pancakes at the diner soon.
Cookie, how are you, Cookie?
I love you too. Take care.
I love you. Bye, Ivan. Bye, bye. All right. So look, that's Ivan, my friend. I was actually born in Puerto Rico. I've known him since 1999, right? So we've been friends for that long, and we don't get to see each other enough. But this made us want to catch up. And so I agree. We're all Puerto Rican. We're all Latinos today, and we should all support each other that way. When one of us is disparaged, I think all of us are disparaged. When one of us is disparaged, all of us are disparaged. When one of us is in trouble, all of us are in trouble. We don't do things like that. It's unnecessary. It is unnecessary. I want to show you this now. All right. So you just saw an ad by the vice president. The vice president was on Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp show, right? Remember that whole thing? Oh, she won't, she's going to go on Rogan. Donald Trump went on Rogan. Well, look, this is I won't even call him the Black Rogan. I just say this is someone who is just as successful and a newcomer, really, to the streaming world, making waves with Cat Williams and Monique and all of those great interviews that hundreds of millions of people have watched online. Club Shay Shay. I'm going to play a couple of things for you. This is the vice president talking to Shannon Sharp about her mother. Here it is.
Raised by a single mom. What did that experience tell you about your mom, and what did it tell you about you?
Well, it told me that one of the things that is precious is to build community and family. Okay. Like my mother, she understood that there is a community that she wanted her children to be raised in. Mm-hmm. And she was very intentional and purposeful about that. And so I always say to people, even when I took the stage as the nominee for the Democratic nomination, that, there is the family that you have by birth, and there is also the family you have by love. And they're equally family, yes. Right? And I learned that from my mother. So my mother, I had all these aunties and uncles. My Uncle Sherman, who was one of the first black men to graduate from Berkeley School of Law, who, when we were young girls, sat us down and taught us how to play chess, because Uncle Sherman said, you need to understand how the chessboard works, because that's the way the world works. There are going to be different players with different moves, mm-hmm. and you need to see the whole board. Mm-hmm. My mother raised us around, like my Auntie Chris, who went to Howard in the 50s and pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha. And she was one of my incredible role models growing up. And that was one of the big reasons I wanted to go to Howard University and pledge Alpha Kappa Alpha. Those are some of the lessons that I've learned from my mother. And I try to also share with people, right? Which is the beauty of community. And it's the way I am, right? Which is, the children in my life, whether they be my own or... my godchildren or whomever, right? That it's a collective responsibility that we have.
So to the comment section now. Jamie Luna said, Rogan is a dumpster. Yeah, I don't want to, Mike Williams said, piss on Rogan. Look, I don't want to insult Shannon Sharp, okay? Because I think he has more integrity and he speaks with more truth and has more of a connection to the world and the country than Rogan does. And someone said, Don, you are obsessed with color, drummer. No, I was saying Joe Rogan, Shannon Sharp is to the black community what Joe Rogan is to those white kids, bros who follow him. Shannon Sharp is revered. Shannon Sharp is, and I'm saying he is having as much success in this streaming world, which is overwrought with the same kind of bro culture that he's killing it. That's what I mean. And it's the truth. We love watching Shannon Sharp. We don't love watching Joe Rogan. And I'm talking about black folks. So yeah, I'm in it. He is, I shouldn't even compare him to that, but he is, if there is a comparison, our Joe Rogan. But we like him a whole lot more because he has a whole lot more integrity and he speaks truth to power. He's not a conspiracy theorist. This is Kamala Harris, the vice president, speaking about that whole, first of all, I just want to say, yeah, this is our reporting, by the way. This is our reporting that now everybody's picking up on, right? They didn't mention us, but we were mentioned with Charlemagne, the Breakfast Club interview. They mentioned us specifically. But this is them speaking about the whole thing that we discovered as we were heading to the convention in Chicago about 2.5 months ago. The STEMI check. Here it is.
Suggests that voters trust President Trump, former President Trump, more on the economy. What can you tell the voters, our viewing audience, our listening audience, that if you were to become president, while Madam VP Kamala Harris will be much better on the economy than what President Trump was?
Well, so I'm really glad you brought that up, Shannon. So first of all, let's clear up certain myths.
Okay.
You know those checks that went out?
Yes. Those stimmies?
Right. Right.
Stimulus check.
Yeah, I know. Well, right. Yes. Yes.
We got to be for stimulus, but they call them stimmies. Okay.
The reason those came about is because there was a Democratic majority in the House of Representatives and Congress. Mm-hmm. People like Maxine Waters, people like Hakeem Jeffries, right?
Yes.
Who did the work of pushing to say, people need help right now and we need to send out checks. There was a whole lot of opposition to it, including from Donald Trump's White House.
Yes, even him. I think he was resistant to it at first.
Yes. That's why those checks, remember, Congress holds the purse.
Yes.
So really, Congress wrote those checks. But then Donald Trump, unlike any president before or after, decided he put his name on those checks.
So therefore, people thought
Donald Trump gave me that check. And so let's clear that up first and foremost.
Okay.
So there's the truth. And people are still talking about it, right? Barack Obama gave him a stimulus check. Donald Trump gave him a stimulus check. And I believe Joe Biden gave him 2. But they didn't, their egos aren't so big that they put their name on it. So just to keep it real here. Club Shay Shay, the vice president. By the way, that was our reporting. I mean, don't you guys remember that? Do you guys remember the kerfuffle it caused? Every conservative network invited. Can you please talk to us about that? Come on the show. Come talk to me. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Right? Come on Fox News. Come on this show. Come on Newsmax, News, whatever is Newsmax, News Nation, one of them. Oh, I mean, I got to go on Dan's show as well, but to talk about the book. But everybody, all the conservatives, everyone. Oh, even MSNBC invited me to come on and talk about it because that was our reporting. And I told them they had a problem. I told the campaign, and certainly here it is. 2.5 months later, they're finally talking about it. The vice president, Shannon Sharp, sharing a toast, kind of.
Very much.
I thank you.
When we have guests come on, Madam VP, we like to toast. And what I read on this card, you don't deserve this. You earned this. Being the first in so many areas. And you make us proud. I just want you to know you make us proud for what you've been able to accomplish. And we're 12 days away, and we hope you have an even greater accomplishment. So here's to continued success in everything you've done and everything that you will do.
Oh, bless you, and thank you. And to you, Shannon, to you for all the success and the voice you give to so many issues. Thank you for that.
Thank you very
And
much.
cheers to you.
Cheers.
And
What was
I'm
that?
not going to actually drink this because I might fall asleep, and I need to do this
I don't want you to
with
fall
Barack
asleep.
Obama this afternoon.
We don't want you to fall
So
asleep.
here we are. Cheers to everybody.
So she didn't drink it, but because she had to go with the former president, Barack Obama, and she's got things to do, right? And everybody would criticize her. Oh my gosh, she's drinking on there. Give me a break. So there you go. One more thing that I want to share with you guys. Did you guys see what happened in Clark County? Did you guys see what happened? By the way, again, that was her on Shannon Sharp. I thought that was an excellent choice for her to do. Showed support for her community, for Black folks, for Black men. She's reaching a demographic that she needs to reach. And she's got just as much reach on this platform, on that show, on that channel, as if she did go on some of the other podcasters like a Rogan. Smart, brilliant move, Madam Vice President and campaign. That was very smart. So this is what happened. This is in Clark County, okay? In Washington and Oregon. Hundreds of early ballots cast for the U.S. presidential election have been burned in 2 suspected attacks in Washington and Oregon, exacerbating tensions ahead of next Tuesday's knife edge contest. It's a razor's edge. Police said Monday that the fires in 2 states were believed to be connected and that a vehicle involved had been identified. That's according to the Associated Press. Firefighters went to the scene after smoke was reported coming from a ballot box drop box in the city of Vancouver in Washington state at 6:30 a.m. on Monday, according to local media. KATU, a local television channel, reported capturing footage of responders releasing a pile of burning ballots to the ground. The ballots continued to smolder after the flames had been doused. Hundreds of ballots were believed to have been inside when the smoke was reported billowing from the box, which had been emptied at 8 a.m. on Sunday. KATU reported that only a few of the ballots deposited there after that had been saved. The election auditor for Clark County, the local authority administering the boxes, said voters who had cast their ballots into it after 11 a.m. could seek new voting documents at a link on the county's election website. I believe there is video. Let's watch. And there it is. And now they're asking people to vote again if you think your ballot was in there. So all they can do is really put out a call and tell people to come or to cast their vote again. They do believe that they have a car and they're trying to identify the person, or I believe they think it's 2 people, okay? Here's the thing when you look at that you should know. This is very serious. This could land this person or people in jail. This could get them a lifetime in jail, a life sentence. A life sentence. Now, why would anybody want to do that? Who would do it? I hope it does not cause a trend or copycats for people to start doing that. Yes, I agree with you. It's cowardice. Makes me want to cry too, go lightly. Makes me want to cry as well. I have been so disgusted, guys, about what we witnessed over the weekend. What we witnessed over the weekend coming from the stage at Madison Square Garden. I'm in agreement with my friend, my very dear friend, Anna Navarro, that we are all Puerto Rican. We are all Latino today. You can vote your choice. You can vote for whoever you want to vote for. I am not going to vote. I could not vote for someone who denigrates my people. I cannot vote for someone who denigrates women and speaks of them the way that him and the MAGA folks, the C word, releasing an ad, the C word. Everyone knows what the C word is. I cannot vote for someone who speaks out against my friends, who denigrates my friends, my Jewish friends, my Muslim friends, my Puerto Rican friends. I can't do it. I can't support that. I remember back in 2016, I believe, where there was a woman who said something that I truly believe that I said the same thing. You may not think Donald Trump is a racist. You may not believe it. You may not know. But all the racists support him. All the racists back him. The Proud Boys, the Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazis, all of them Trumpers. Make America great again. So what does that say about you that you support the candidate who all those people voted for? What does that say about you as a human being, as an American, as a patriot? I can't see it. I don't get it. I don't get the grievance. I don't see where Donald Trump by any means is any smarter. It's actually the opposite than Kamala Harris. I don't see where Donald Trump's answers to questions, you know, his weaving, are any more succinct and coherent and cogent than Kamala Harris. At least at the end of her statement, when she's talking, you understand what she's saying. You don't with Donald Trump. At the very least, she doesn't attack people. Go vote. I did yesterday. And make sure you do the right thing. You don't have to tell anybody. If you are voting with a party that is based on hate and a party that is based on hypocrisy and a party whose every insult is a tell of who they are, the MAGA party is the biggest identity politics party that I have witnessed as a thinking, rational thinking adult. They are the definition of identity, of an identity politics party. They came up with a name to identify themselves. That's identity politics. MAGA, not Republicans. MAGA. That's what they identify as. That is identity politics. And it's hateful, and it's bigoted, and it's a cult. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Go vote.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Eastern, so there's plenty of content for you to check out.